So traditionally I've used wireless gaming headsets with Bluetooth in my space throughout the day when I'm filming, but they come with a few drawbacks. Number one, the audio fidelity is not normally on par with what you'd find in a headphone designed specifically for music. Number two, they usually lack a lot in the way of gestures and control. And number three, the vast majority of them do not feature any kind of active noise canceling, which I've come to depend on a lot living where we do. So when I learned that Beyerdynamic, makers of some of my favorite studio headphones, had a wireless active noise canceling consumer model in the market, I was pretty stoked to check it out. That's exactly what we're gonna do today. You ready? Let's go! This video is brought to you by Bookmark.com. Bookmark's a free website builder where you can create a professional-looking website with hosting in just a couple minutes by answering 7 simple questions. Bookmark's AI engine, Ada, literally builds your website right in front of your face in less than 2 minutes, and you can edit virtually every aspect of the page once it's complete. You can also upgrade to connect your existing domain and create an online store with e-commerce integration. It's awesome. Click the link in the description below or check them out at Bookmark.com. Yo, I'm Brian P. You're watching Bad Seed Tech, and today we're checking out the Lagoon ANC Bluetooth Active Noise Canceling Headphone from Beyerdynamic. For transparency, these were sent out for review, but as you should know by now, doesn't affect my review in any way. So the Lagoon ANC is available in either black or brown and retails for $399 US. That puts it in the top end of the wireless noise canceling market, going head to head with the Bose Quiet Comfort 7 and about $50 over the Sony WH-1000 XM3. This video is releasing during Black Friday week though, so check sales because these will fluctuate hard this time of year. Inside the box, you get a travel case in a teardrop shape. It's like faux leather and 2 cables, one USB-A to USB-C for charging, and one 3.5 to 3.5 aux cable. The body here is mostly plastic with a metal headband. You've got a soft synthetic leather, light density foam padding inside the headband itself. We see branding for Lagoon ANC, the Beyerdynamic name, and the logo in gray on the outside of the ear cups. Ear pads are small and oval, and they've got like an ergonomic shape, being thicker in the back and the bottom to help ensure they create a proper seal. Measurements on the pads are like 90 by 80 millimeters outer and about 57 by 45 inner measurement. These sit both on the top ridge of my ear and my earlobe. They also have a bit of clamping force. They need adjustment to where they're not pressing directly on that pressure point behind my ears. These are pretty light at about 285 grams on my scale. Despite all the plastic, which is a common thread in all these wireless headphones, the build quality feels pretty robust, and they do fold and swivel for travel and storage. The only aspect of the build that doesn't really give the impression of quality is the loose nature of the swivel on the ear cups, but again, that's kind of a running theme with these designs. As for internal tech, these are running on Bluetooth 4.2 as opposed to 5.0, and they do lack multi-point, which is unfortunate. This means you're gonna have to pair and repair these as you move between different devices like your phone and your laptop. As for codec support, you're gonna get AAC and then Qualcomm's aptX and aptX low latency. If you're on the iPhone, you're gonna be using AAC automatically. Android users will be able to take advantage of those other 2 codecs. You might even be able to enjoy some lag-free gaming there with that low latency codec. Most notably missing here is support for Sony's LDAC codec, which has become like the audiophile go-to for Bluetooth. I do like the fact though that when this thing connects, it announces vocally what codec you're using. Unique to the Lagoon ANC is the LGS or Light Guide system. These are 2 halo lights embedded actually inside the ear cups that attempt to communicate different bits of information to you. I wasn't really impressed with this as you have to remove the headphone to check the LEDs, and then you have to memorize all the different colors and combos, number of flashes, etc. For me, it had 2 main wins. One, the rings light up red and blue, so if you're in low light, like on a plane, you don't have to struggle to figure out which side is left and right. The other thing I liked was that they display the current charge level in 4 different ways. This was nice to be able to check at a glance when I was walking by to see if they were good to go yet or not. So these do charge over USB-C, though there is no wall adapter included inside the box. It takes about 3 hours from completely dead to get a full charge. Beyer quotes the battery life of these at about 24 hours, and I actually didn't find that to be too far off because I use anti-noise canceling level 1. If you use level 2, you will see that be reduced by a few hours. The control layout here is curious as everything, touch and physical controls are all located on the right ear cup. So you have your USB-C, your 3.5 millimeter jack, power on, off, and pairing, and your ANC level select all there in physical controls. I would have liked to seen the touch controls and the physical controls on opposite sides as I activated the touch controls a few times while attempting to change the ANC level. Gestures are pretty easy to get down. Basic stuff like pause, track select, fast forward, rewind, and volume control. There are also call control gestures as well. What's missing is any kind of passive or pass-through mode like we see on the Sony or the AirPods Pro. Moving into sound quality, we need to talk about the MIY app real quick. This is available for both iOS and Android. Right away when I jumped in, I was greeted with a firmware update notification. Weird thing was I couldn't complete this from the mobile app. I had to connect to the PC, download and install another app, and then update from there. This is pretty clunky. I'd like to see the firmware update process integrated into the mobile app. So the app basically serves to help you set up a sound profile that's going to deliver music a little closer to how you hear it. And it does this in two ways. One, by quickly assigning a profile based on your age, and two, dialing in a more specific profile based on a hearing test. This process takes a bit. You tap when you hear the tone and release it when you don't. The results? Solid, actually. You have a slider to move from the baseline tune to your custom tune, and mine's most comfortable at around 75 to 80%. Any higher than that, and the highs become a little too pronounced for me. My favorite part of what this did to the sound, in addition to brightening up the highs a little bit, is that it also helps control some of the bass here, which I find to be a little boomy in the stock tune. Oddly though, this app does not feature any kind of manual EQ. It's kind of tough to gauge here because this has a stock tune that's designed to be pleasing to a wide variety of consumers, not audiophiles. This isn't a neutral or flat tune, but it's balanced in a way that isn't going to be offensive to any listener. I realize that doesn't exactly sound hype, but the sound quality here is really very good. Going over AAC, I prefer these to the Sonys, and I prefer the Sonys over the Bose, which I opted not to purchase after demoing. So these are leading the pack for me. Soundstage here feels a little tight to me, which is not surprising. Mids and vocals have some emphasis to them. Highs feel nice and airy and detailed. The bass is really warm and full. Warm is actually a pretty good way to describe the overall sound of these headphones, but you still have some clarity here that I don't get out of the Sonys, which have a tendency to feel a little muffled to me in their stock tune when they're just overwhelmed with just loads of uncontrolled bass. The level of detail and musicality is really solid here as well. These are fun, and for the times when I'm not sitting at my desk with a solid mid-fi rig, these definitely do the trick. So the call quality, and in particular the mics here, were pretty impressive for me. I normally take calls throughout the day when I'm working around here, but I usually have a boom mic right in front of my mouth. Nobody I spoke to had any idea that I was on anything different. And a couple people I talked to didn't realize I was on a hands-free at all. And I tested them both in here in a quiet, controlled environment, as well as outside on a busy downtown street. They held up really well. I'm honestly pretty impressed with these. I never had an issue with range on these, and I do have a tendency to set my phone down when I'm working in here and walk away from it. But one tip for usage though, the new firmware has an option to disable a feature called pause music automatically. Prior to this, the music would pause if I held still too long, sometimes seemingly at random, so turning this off in the mobile app fixes this issue. Another unique feature here is that if you find yourself without battery or needing to preserve battery life, you can plug in with a 3.5mm with the headphone powered off, and you still get great sound and passive isolation, just no active noise canceling. Closing out here, the Lagoon ANC offers understated looks and the best sound quality I've heard from a Bluetooth noise canceling set so far. Mic quality is solid, the app is useful but could be a bit more fleshed out. Battery life is strong, light guide system is largely forgettable. The Bluetooth 4.2, while it won't make much of a difference in how you use these, may turn some people off, as well as the lack of the LDAC codec. The active noise canceling, while not as good as the Sony, is still more than enough for anything I would ever put these through. As a compact pair of commuter headphones with top-notch sound, these fit the bill. The biggest issue I can see people having with these is the price, and I can kind of see both sides of it here. Bayer makes great stuff, so they're not going to take a knee to the likes of Bose, but they also don't have the name recognition in the consumer space like Bose or like Sony. And with those Sonys floating around out there at around $50 less MSRP in a brand name like Sony, your average consumer is probably going to go that way. It is around Black Friday though when this video is launching, and I have seen these as low as $300 right now. That closes the gap big time because Sony's sale price is honestly not that much lower. As a guy who owns both, if you're going off your phone most of the time where the codec matters less, you're not going off an audiophile setup, I would go with the Lagoons purely for the sound quality. As always, any questions over anything we looked at today, hit me in the comments or drop by the Discord. And that's it for this time. I'm Brian P. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that sub button, and until next time, stay up.